have a list that I can give you guys that you can take a peek at. I'm more of an advocate of doing things a little bit more naturally, not having to buy so many extra supplements, although supplements can be helpful. And especially if you aren't specifically diagnosed, like if you haven't gotten a test to know, I wouldn't necessarily mess with things that are going to mess with your hormones in that way, like extra stuff like that. Like people use melatonin to help them sleep, and it will help boost your growth hormone, but I'm not just going to tell you to take melatonin just because, you know what I'm saying? So I put some more natural ways in which you can boost your growth hormone and prevent aging and build muscles for people that are trying to get jacked. Okay, you can do these things to help actually with your workout, help you get more lean body mass build. And I was here last week when Brittany was speaking, and she was talking about the fact that you do need to build more lean body mass, and so this is ways that you can actually help your workouts out and do that, right? So you could actually make sure you're getting enough vitamin D. Where do we get vitamin D? Does anyone know? The sun, right? Well, in the winter that might be a little harder. Not as hard as in California and some other places, but a lot of times, especially in the winter, we don't get enough vitamin D. So ways in which you can help actually get vitamin D into your system. I mean, there's vitamin D fortified things out there, milk and stuff like that, but you can take a vitamin D supplement. You would actually take it in like a capsule form and things like that if you wanted to, but also you can look into some of the vegetables, and I have a list that's going to be sent to you, I believe, tomorrow. You can take a peek at that's going to help with that. You can actually, vitamin D is kind of cool. I'm going to mention this too because they're actually seeing a lot of awesome things occur for people that don't get enough vitamin D, and then they start taking vitamin D. They're actually noting that it really helps cure cancer. A lot of things like that. It's really awesome, and part of that is because it helps with growth hormone stimulation. So we can get into, if you have more questions about that, we can get into that. Sleep is important, and I know a lot of us don't get enough because we're on the go and we're busy, and you just have to train all day or work all day or keep up with kids all day, and sometimes we jokingly say, okay, sleep's overrated, ha, and we're depending on our coffee and our caffeine and sugar and all these things to try to keep us going, and it's a sad place to be. I know that a lot of us have to be there sometimes, but really try not to let that be the thing that goes. If you're staying up late watching TV or playing it on your phone like I catch myself doing sometimes, like reading articles or whatever it might be, try to just start to put that away and get your sleep, because actually it's been proven that at least getting 8 hours per night will significantly increase your growth hormone. When you sleep, that's when your body repairs, and that's when growth hormone is produced the most. So when you don't get enough sleep, you're actually limiting that factor there. And actually, where's Frank? Is Frank in here?
Yeah.
Hey Frank, can you stand up for a second? Frank is one of my students, and I was just going to I'm putting you on the spot. Frank, actually, how many hours of sleep have you lived on for the last however many years?
So for the past 4 years, I got in the habit of sleeping about 2 hours.
2 hours a night, and I do not know how this man is living. I mean, working all day, coming to class at night, and then getting up and working at 1 a.m. or whatever it might be. I literally don't know how that he has done that, but I can say that that's a valid statement he just made. Well, recently, not too long ago, a few weeks ago, Frank finished his job that he was doing, and now he's actually full-time working now as a trainer, internships, working, and also coming to class now. And he noted he was actually tired, like lately, even though he's been getting more sleep. He goes, I'm more tired than I've been for a while. But what's been happening is he's actually been getting more sleep, and actually you don't seem as tired. I don't know if you're as tired now as you were the first couple of weeks, but his body wasn't used to actually getting growth hormone. You remember when you're a kid, or you noticed your kids, and when they have a lot of growth hormone when they're growing, they like to sleep a lot, right? Well, he's actually producing more growth hormone because he's getting, it's about 3 to 4 hours into your sleep cycle is when things really start to kick into gear with growth hormone. And so he's noticing he's feeling tireder because he's actually growing. He's actually reaping the benefits of all his working out. It was kind of a cool example. Sleeping is very, very important. You should have two full cycles of sleep within the 8-hour period. So if you can, try to focus a little bit more on that. That's a big one. That doesn't cost anything. Just get some sleep if you can. Also, huge, and if anybody's ever heard me talk about, when I talk about acidity and alkalinity in your body, any of my past students or anybody knows that I'm like anti-sugar, okay? Like if there's anything as a trainer that I could ever tell you to just not eat, it would be sugar, processed sugar. You don't need it. It's been proven you don't need it. You can get sugar from fruits and carbohydrates. You don't need to eat sugar. It actually works against you in a lot of different ways, and actually creates acidity, and actually has been proven to cause cancers and tumors, and it's just awful for you. But nonetheless, limiting it will help actually boost your growth hormone. So the less sugar you have, especially processed sugar, will actually cause your growth hormone to be able to rise. And the reason is when you produce sugar, when you eat sugar, you spike your insulin levels, right? Anybody know that, right? So you spike your insulin levels, and insulin is a hormone as well. When insulin is high, guess what drops? Your growth hormone. They actually can't exist high both together in the same spot. So it actually causes your growth hormone to drop. Especially if you eat sugar or simple carbohydrates before bed, you're actually like blocking yourself from really your growth hormone spiking is what's happening too. So eating sugar before bed, and also eating sugar right after your workouts is considered basically that you should stay away from it, because right after you lift weights or do anaerobic training or anything like that, your body is wanting to spike its growth hormone a little, right? Actually in a pretty big way, because it's trying to repair the tissue that you just broke down from the workout, right? So when you eat sugar right after your workouts, it actually counteracts that growth hormone in that way, okay? There's a lot of other sciencey stuff I could get into about that. But the last thing I want to mention is HIIT training. And HIIT training is high intensity interval training. It's basically like short, quick bouts of exercise, maybe resistance training oriented. Some of you might have heard of Tabatas, or might have heard of interval training or something like that. But it's basically high intensity bouts of exercise. As here it says, it's actually supposed to say 30-second intervals, 5 or more times in a workout. So quick sprint for 30 seconds, whether you're on the row machine, cycling, or actually running. 30 seconds of quick intervals, or 5 or more times in a workout will help boost the muscles that actually want to grow, the type 2, and it will actually help boost your growth hormone as well. Does that make sense? Okay, so I know it's a lot, and I will be sending out some resources to you guys so you can look into a little bit more, but does anybody have any questions specifically? Yeah?
I was wondering, is that the same as for sugar as for honey? I mean, would that...
Honey is a little bit different, but I would avoid it before bed and right after your workout personally, if you were to ask me. Because it does have a lot of other great things within it, but it still is essentially sugar in your body. Definitely not as bad as processed sugar, but yeah. Raw honey, that is. Raw honey. Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to ask you if you, the same thing, the sugar, if you are meaning specifically refined sugars, or fruits are okay in general, better than...
If I know it's a controversial thing, and even fructose, which is a fruit sugar, if it's like in a juice form especially, or high fructose corn syrup or anything like that, then yeah, it's not, you shouldn't be having it right after your workouts or right before bed. If you get the whole fruit, it's not as bad as far as that spike in insulin, because the fiber in the fruit is counterbalancing the sugar levels. But a lot of times with clients, I'll have them eat their fruit or whatever it might be before the workout, and then they work out, and then I'll have them eat something that's more protein based afterwards, as you know, with some carbohydrates, but more of a complex carbohydrate afterwards. So, yeah.
You just answered it, but in the last couple of years, there's been a lot in the media about workout and drink chocolate milk.
I love the chocolate milk.
Maybe it's just because it tastes good.
You can, yeah. Yeah,
But it sounds like
it does have sugar in it.
just sugar, yeah.
There's two schools of thought on this, and I know I'm probably getting to my time limit, but so normally in our society, our bodies, we've taught our bodies to burn carbohydrates for fuel, right? Like we're like, oh, we need some energy, I need some carbs. But when we are actually depending on carbohydrates for energy so much, we rarely actually get to burning our fat stores, because our bodies want to burn the carbs first in that order. So if you can teach your body by taking in like very lower carbohydrates throughout the day, teach your body to burn your fat for fuel, you won't need necessarily to delve into as much of that sugar to feel like, oh, your quick boost as you would think. So I'm not saying don't eat carbohydrates. Don't get me wrong with that. But yeah, the chocolate milk thing. I mean, actually, it has probably the same stuff as a protein shake would. But if it were me, I would. There used to be something that was always said, like, eat sugar so that way you don't burn your muscles for fuel, your protein for fuel. There's the validity of that, I think, is kind of going by the wayside a little bit, but you definitely want something that's a little bit balanced out afterwards, but you should be burning fat for fuel. You know, it should be, if you don't have a lot of fat in your body, then yeah, you need to put something in there that's a little bit more carbohydrate laden, but I don't know if that answered your question, but my dad does that too, and I did that for a little bit, and it's not going to kill you, but I would lean towards something that was a little bit more complex and teach your body to burn fat for fuel, unless you don't have any fat to burn.
I only use it once a day too.
Yeah,
Helps
yeah.
too. Like I drink 1 cup of it in the evening, not close to bed though.
Yeah, that's
Way
a good
before
point.
bed.
Yeah.
Because of the sugar.
Because of the sugar,
that's
that's why I
close to
don't-
bed. You know, like a tablespoon of Nestle is probably not a real good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It is cheaper than protein shake though, typically.
Well,
But
I mean, that's something else.
yeah.
That's
Go ahead.
What are examples that you recommend then of high protein, low sugar? Or
Like
no
before
sugar?
bed or afterwards.
Yeah.
Even certain amino acids in certain foods, specifically like if you have almonds or an aged type of even cheese. I don't know, some people don't do the cheese. Meat, lean meat, anything like that. Having those combinations, especially, doesn't you know what amino acids are? It's the breakdown of protein. So there's certain combinations that actually will stimulate your growth hormone better. So those three specifically are ones that I would intake before bed to help me not be burning the carbohydrates and spike my insulin levels, but providing some sort of a fuel that my body can build and use. So does that help a little bit? Yeah, the stuff I'm sending out too should hopefully help. But if you guys want to email me too, you can. You know, if you have questions about that as you go along. Is there anything else?